So here's the Right On Line training aid for your putting. Best tool I've ever used because it works on start line, it works on reading greens, works on speed control. So what I'm going to do first is talk about the starting line, because that's every ball's got to get started on line if you're going to make putts, and if you're reading greens, you got to get the ball started on that line. So this thing has a couple mouse holes here. This one is called the amateur side. If I show you, it has a little wiggle room in terms of the ball in between here. And then you've got the amateur, or this is the professional side, it's a little bit tighter, okay? So what I have people do is definitely start with the amateur side, probably gonna use that the most. And what we wanna do is, if the first thing we do is set this on the ground, you don't really even need to putt at a hole at this moment, because this is gonna kind of be a test for you to see how good your stroke is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a ball, we're gonna roll it up underneath of it so that the bars are directly over the ball, so they split the ball in half. Then what you're going to do is take your posture, and the first thing you're going to do is see where your eyes line up. So if your eyes line up over the ball, you'll only see the top bar. If your eyes are inside, you'll see a little bit of the bottom bar, or if they're on the outside, which we definitely don't want, you'll see some of that. So ideally, you'd want to only see one bar, or maybe just a sliver of the inside bar. Some good putters have their eyes slightly inside. The other thing you're going to be able to notice is you're going to be able to see if the putter face is square, because you have that line above the ball, so you can tell whether the face is open or closed at address. So now that I get in there and I've got my eyes over it, now what you want to do is you want to make your normal putting stroke. And there's different types of strokes. There's straight back, straight through. Then there's a putting on an arc, which is kind of what most people do and which is most commonly taught. So this doesn't really adhere to either one of those philosophies, but each one of those, the one thing that has to be consistent is the club face at impact. You have to have the face square to get that ball started on the line that you choose. So what's going to happen here is the mouse hole is going to determine what the face is doing. So if I do this incorrectly and the face is open, let's say, then it's going to hit the edge of that. The ball will not roll through the hole cleanly. Okay, so that's going to give you, an idea of where that face was. And what we see is most people have a common tendency. So they would hit that left edge every time if the face was open, right edge if it was closed. So the idea, though, is to work on your stroke so that the ball rolls right through the hole cleanly. And the other thing that's great about this is you can monitor where your finish is. And if you're on an arc, you would see the putter slightly to the inside. If you're straight back and through, you would have the line on the putter would be not visible because it's underneath the rods. And a lot of times what I'll even do, if people are doing that kind of method, is I'll even have them run the face up to the glass to see if their face is staying square. But in most cases, there's a little bit of an arc, so the face would look a little bit closed. But it doesn't matter. If you can roll that ball through that hole every time, then you've got a pretty good putting stroke. You've got a putting stroke that comes back to square at impact, which is the first thing that you need to do to make more putts. Okay, the second part to making putts is reading greens. And this is where people don't really practice reading greens very often. And there's different systems out there now. I'm sure many of you have heard of Aimpoint. Aimpoint's a system for, how you can measure the stemp of the green, and then you can, hold your fingers up. You see it on the PGA Tour quite a bit these days, and especially with caddies and so forth. But I like being able to practice reading greens. Whether you use that method or not, that's fine, but you got to verify. Always got to verify. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stand back here, and I've got a putt, and this is about 10 feet or so, 9 to 10 feet. And I would recommend doing different distances, but not anything much over 12 feet probably when you're practicing this. And what I do is I would get behind the ball. I would put the ball down on the green, and then what I would read the green, I would step back, I would read the green, do whatever you do that you normally do. And then what you want to do is you want to take the right on line and place it right over the ball and aim it where you read it. So most people, when they read greens, some people see the entry point of the ball, some people read it kind of in a straight line. So they might say, okay, this putt maybe, let's say this putt is a foot out. Okay, whatever you read the first time. And what you're going to do is you're going to put this down over the ball. So So I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to put the ball, I'm going to put this right over the top of the ball, and it's very easy to stand back and see where that's aimed, okay? So once you have that in place, then we're going to hit some putts here. And keep in mind that you cannot determine whether you read the green properly or not unless you hit at the right speed. So if you hit through the hole, first of all, it's going to make sure your stroke is good, right? And you're accountable to that line. Secondly, if the ball rolls by the hole approximately 14 inches or less, then you had the right speed. But if you hit a putt out of here and it doesn't get to the hole, or maybe it goes by 3 feet, you need to hit another putt. You need to keep hitting putts till you roll at the right speed, and then you see if you make it, okay? So here I go. So I'm gonna set up here, and I'm gonna try to hit it with the right speed. Bingo, okay? So I'll confess, I cheated. I already had this lined up before, okay? But let's say we did this and you put this over the ball right here, and you hit your putt through the hole, and you go low. Wow, you go, man, that's amazing. That's really on the low side, and that was actually even hit a little too hard, right? And it was still on the low side. So then what you do is you tap this around until you get it to where the ball is going in the hole, okay? And what you're gonna do is, once you do that, then I'd move and do it again on the next hole. And if you do, let's say you spent 20 minutes on the green and you did 10 different reads. Well, how good a green reader you are is how many times are you gonna set this down the first time and make the putt. If you can do it 7 out of 10, you're probably close to tour level. That'd be a really good green reader, okay? So, but what you're gonna notice about this, and what I really like about this is that you're gonna see a tendency. And my bet is you're gonna tend to underread the break most of the time. And you're gonna tend to underread it. It's not like on right to lefters, you're gonna play too much and the opposite on the other side. It usually doesn't work that way from my experience, okay? But, then if I happen to set it down, and obviously I have this way over there now, so I have too much break now. Now I go, wow, I played too much break on that one. Okay, so then, like I said, you bat this around till you start making the putts, okay? And then you look back. I'd come back here and look again exactly where it's aimed, and I'd go, man, I underread that first putt by 50% or whatever. So you'll start to see some trends, and it's gonna make you a better green reader, because if you underread the break all the time, next time you go play, you just need to play more break. And if you start playing more break, you're gonna hit the hole, or you're gonna have a chance of that ball coming in. Or making it, because the ball's always gonna have a chance of going in. But anytime that thing goes on that low side, you're gonna have more 3 putts, because that ball's gonna run away from the hole. If you play too much break, it's gonna come through here, usually gonna end up being closer to the hole. So being able to have some tool that can help you read greens better and learn your tendencies is invaluable. So that's the second thing that the Right Online does, in addition to making sure that your stroke is good, so you get that ball rolling out of that hole every time. So here I've got my staff bag, giant bag, but most of you have a carry bag or whatever. But basically the rods just go right, on the Right Online, just go right in your bag. And then the ends, right here, I travel with mine. You'll notice on these ends that there's 2 holes. There's a higher hole and a bottom hole. I usually put it in the top hole, but the bottom hole is to help keep your putter low. So on shorter putts, if you're, raising the putter through the ball, that's what that's for. But basically all you do here is you just unscrew the wing nuts, and you just stick it right in. And you can put the black bar on the top or the black bar on the bottom. It doesn't really matter. I usually have it on the bottom, so all I see is the silver bar on top. You do the same on both sides. So obviously, if I'm doing this and I'm not talking you through it, it's probably gonna take me 2 minutes to put this together. And one thing I would recommend, that when you do it though, put the wing nuts pretty far down, because if they fall off in your bag, it's not the most fun thing to do, is try to find them in the bottom of your golf bag. So there, I've got them on. Now I just spin this down, and then you're ready to go. And that's pretty much how easy that is to put together. Now you're ready to go, and remember, you've got the amateur side, and then you've got the pro side. So you're going to want to use, on the breaking putts and so forth, you're going to always want to use the bigger hole, probably using the shorter hole for the real, like maybe some 3-footers, 3-4 footers that are kind of more straight in. If you can get 3 out of 5 balls through that small hole from 3-4 feet, you've got a really good putting stroke. So it'd be a great investment, and it's something that you can have forever. It's easy to put in your bag, take with you wherever you go.